Good morning, welcome to the Fit to Flourish podcast. Let's talk wellness, finance, and growth.
What's up, guys? Your boy, Mr. Fit to Flourish. And let's get right into the week of stocks this week. What's going to happen this week, and what do we do in first team investing this week to make some money, all right? So let's get right into it. Stocks and coffee. So Stocks and coffee with your boy K5 and Mr. Fit to Flourish. We are first team investing, and we always start with a quote. So the quote for this week was, "For winners, losing inspires them, and for losers, losing defeats them." This is actually pretty insane. So winners understand that failure is delayed, it's not defeat. That losing, L's don't stand for losing, it stands for a lesson. L's are just lessons. Okay, we have the best team in the world. We have resources in the Discord, YouTube, educational tutorials. Obviously, you're on the YouTube, and we look at charts live every night. So this week we talked about market structure. We talked about reverse engineering, big plays, setups, etc., etc. Okay, we trade live every morning in the Discord. So right now we're doing a three-day free trial. So if you're interested, go ahead and check out the link in the bio below for the Discord, and then also just like, share, subscribe if you like this content. Okay. Anyway, so we can review this week. We had pretty big plays. So some of our call outs. Our IWM puts, we had Microsoft swing calls at the beginning of the week when calls were still a thing. We had NVIDIA calls when calls were still a thing. And then we had NVIDIA puts, TLT puts, we had SPY puts, APP puts, Amazon puts, Reddit puts. It absolutely went crazy this week. So there's a lot of volatility in the market right now, which means that there is a lot of opportunity. So keep that in mind. All right. We're also doing a $500 growth account. So that's being documented on this YouTube channel. I'll leave the link for the series. It's a $500 growth account series. So in about 10 days, we took our account from $500 to about $2,600. And we're going to go to 36 million. And then I'll probably, once we start going up, I'll start just doing a bunch of giveaways here on YouTube, and also on in the Discord. All right. And we did have a raffle today in the Discord. We always do raffles and do just money giveaways and all that good stuff. All right. And then we're also doing a yacht mastermind. That's just for the Discord. So we're going to skip through that. Alrighty. And then earnings this week. We really didn't have any earnings this past week. In terms of economic data, we had mixed data. So initial jobs claims month over month came in less than expected, but then continuing claims are increasing. Okay. And then the non-farm payroll actually increased, which is good for the bulls. But then the unemployment rate is increasing as well. So kind of in line, but kind of increasing. So mixed job data. But what's going on in the market? So the market was absolutely crashing. Okay. So SPY is down over 13% on the year. Pretty crazy. There's been very aggressive selling the past 2 weeks and in the past 2 days, really. So we saw IWM almost had a circuit breaker, which is basically when they halt trading because the market is selling too much and too fast. So there was almost a halt on IWM on Thursday, and I can't remember if there was one on Friday. It was insane, all right? But SPY filled the gap from May 2nd of 2024. So a year gap was just filled on SPY. So right now, I'm telling people, hey, is cash a bad position? No, you want to have cash right now. You want to be able to pick up these stocks when everyone's fearful. This is when you pounce, okay? This is when you pick up all these stocks at these really good positions, all right? And then in terms of APP shorts, so a week ago was a Tankuski. So APP actually tanked because of a short report, and then it started to rise back up this week, especially with their TikTok bid and purchase rumors. And there were three names that were expected to purchase TikTok, which is Amazon, APP, and then OnlyFans CEO actually put in a bid as well. That's actually pretty insane. But yeah, we actually took puts on APP because it got into this gap. It got into this gap that we had mentioned a couple of weeks ago in the Discord, and I believe I mentioned that here on YouTube. I want to show this gap because this is pretty insane. So I'm going to share this tab real quick. So APP. So this was a gap that it established after the most recent earnings. So we saw APP trading around 175. All of a sudden, we got these earnings, and this was back in November, and we gapped up all the way to 229. So just about almost a $50 gap, like a $45 gap, right? And we've been kind of respecting that gap for a minute, and now we finally closed below that move up. So we have this huge gap, this $40 gap that we can actually come down to fill pretty quickly. All right. We'll probably end up doing a back test of that 200 moving average, maybe. Usually what happens when we break those moving averages, we'll get a move back up to 247, maybe a retest and reject, or we can just continue down to that 174 level. So this is a really interesting area for APP. I'm going to be looking to take more shorts this week, so keep that on the lookout. And then we also saw CoreWeave IPO'd on Friday, March 28th at $40 per share, and they raised 1.5 billion, so $1.5 billion. Okay, so they saw highs this week as much as 60% up from their IPO and 78% from lows. Okay, so it's right now it's back near IPO prices because it fell with the market sell-off on Thursday, Friday. Why did the market sell off? Well, Trump released his tariffs. He released the tariffs, okay? And he called it Liberation Day, but a lot of people called it Liquidation Day, okay? And there's Republicans that are calling for Trump's head, okay? Off with his head. So as we know, a lot of these Republican leaders, they do a lot of insider trading. It is no secret. They do insider trading and they make millions off of this. Okay, and right now their stock portfolios are tanking out of the sky, and they're panicking. So they're actually siding with Democrats on kind of stopping this tariff stuff and trying to really get a hold on what Trump is doing. Okay, in the Trump administration. So I thought that was actually really interesting. And in terms of TikTok, what's going on with TikTok? So TikTok time is ticking, no pun intended. But Trump said he is signing an executive order to keep TikTok up and running for an additional 75 days until they can make a deal to get a U.S. Purchaser. Okay. But what did Powell say about all this? So Jerome Powell actually spoke on Friday. So if you don't know, Jerome Powell is the Federal Reserve Chair. He's the head of the group that makes the decisions on rates. So rate cuts, rate hikes, rates being held steady. All that good stuff is Jay Powell, okay? So the Trump administration's expansive new tariffs will likely lead to higher inflation and slower growth. This came straight from Jerome Powell, okay? So on Friday, we kind of saw stocks try to pick back up to the upside, and all of a sudden they started to tank again, and they tanked forever. And this is because algorithms were picking up what Jerome Powell was saying. He was speaking at 11:25 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and talking about the markets and what to expect in terms of rate decisions. Okay, but Powell said that the tariffs and their likely impacts on the economy and inflation are significantly larger than expected. This is insane. Okay, so the fear and greed index is actually currently at extreme fear. Okay, it's at a 4. That's insane. I don't think I've ever seen that. But yeah, currently at a 4. And then here again is some of the year-to-date performances. The S&P is down 13% on the year. NASDAQ down almost 20%. That's insane. Small caps 17. Gold is the only thing bumping and a booming right now. We talked about that. And the VIX is booming. The VIX is up 154% this year. Okay, volatility is crazy. Right? So crazy stuff going on. Earnings. In terms of earnings this week, we're going to see Wells Fargo on Friday, BlackRock on Friday, JP Morgan on Friday. So our big banks, Morgan Stanley as well. Big banks on Friday. CarMax is going to be before open on Thursday. Delta Airlines before open on Wednesday. And then Levi, Dave & Buster's on after the close on Monday. But yeah, and then in terms of the economic data this week, the main 3 days are going to be Wednesday. So Wednesday we have the Fed meeting minutes from the FOMC meeting from March. That's going to drop at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Wednesday. And then Thursday, Friday is going to be pretty volatile again. We're going to have 8:30 a.m. initial jobless claims and core CPI. And then on Friday, 8:30 a.m., we're going to have core PPI. And then at 10 a.m., we're going to have the consumer sentiment, which is probably in the trash can right now. And then we're going to talk about some potential long-term additions later on. And the watch list for us this week is going to be APP, SPY, QQQ, Amazon, Schlamazon, and NVIDIA Schmidia. All right. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this stuff, but keep out for the markets this week. So what to expect? So of course, right now the market's tanking. Okay, it's falling out of the sky. We've been said this was going to happen. Right now, it's falling a little faster than expected. There's aggressive selling, so you want to be cautious. Okay, we're probably going to experience what's called a dead cat bounce, which is just when we get some orders, or there's a lot of order imbalance to the downside, a lot of selling. So in markets, in equity asset markets, what you want to see is you want to see an equal amount of buying and selling. So to at least try to get some equal amount of buying, we're gonna get a little bit of a move back to the upside potentially this week, and that might occur tomorrow on Monday, April 7th. We might see a little bit of an upside move. So just kind of be careful, be cautious, and then in these trends, you want to go with the trend. The trend is your friend. So if we're in a downtrend, you don't really want to be taking these upside moves. You want to wait for signs of moves back down. So if we get this little upside move, look for the sell-off. Okay, look to take that sell-off. And we trade options, so we're looking for puts. Okay, if you're in stocks, you want to take shorts. All right. Anyways, be cautious, and dollar cost average on the way down. This is not financial advice. It's your boy, Mr. Fit to Flourish, and I'm out of here.